Around 20% of the North Sea region's population live in rural areas, where a larger share of businesses are small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs. These businesses could be vulnerable to many uncertainties and challenges that digital transformation poses to them. This could include the struggle to keep up with the rapidly developing technologies, lack of awareness of their digital needs and potentials, access to new markets, scaling up, and cooperation in a transnational environment. To help SMEs to overcome these challenges, a change of mindset is needed. This is where the UoL 4.0 challenge comes into play. UoL 4.0 challenge is a project that runs in collaboration with the University of Lincoln, Com3, North Sea region partners, Business Lincolnshire, as well as the local SMEs. The project involves SMEs presenting their digital challenges to the University of Lincoln students from the Operations Management module. The students then work collaboratively to develop a theoretically underpinned idea which could help to improve SMEs' potential for adoption of digital technologies and implementations of Industry 4.0. The students would then present this idea to participating SMEs and academics. It's then up to the SMEs to choose the digital solution that would work for them and decide whether to implement it or not. If you're a local business and have a digital challenge that our students can help you to solve, then please email uolchallenge@lincoln.ac.uk. Are you ready?
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to you from a rather wet and windy Lincoln on what is a very prestigious evening for us as we look to award our students for their efforts as part of the University of Lincoln 4.0 challenge. Ordinarily, we would celebrate the student success with a face-to-face ceremony, but of course, under current times, that isn't possible. Nonetheless, we should still celebrate the students' efforts and also thank our small to medium enterprises who have been involved in this year's challenge in giving the student body vital experience at relatively early stage of their studies to apply their operations management academic discussions to the vital area of practical experiences that I'm sure will stand them in good stead as they go on to complete the second and third year of their studies, and more importantly, progress into the world of work. So without further ado, let's look at this evening's agenda. Herbert, I believe you've got the slide. Thank you. So a very short introduction from yours truly. I'm Dr. Gary Ramsden. I'm an Associate Professor in Logistics and Operations here at the Lincoln International Business School. And I work alongside Herbert and the rest of the team in developing our students as they go forward. I'll hand over to Herbert in a minute, who will talk about what is the challenge itself, for those of you who aren't aware. We'll then have the real stars of the show with presentations from Joshua, Ellie, Gemma and Anya, who will give a view on their experience, what they've learned and the actual projects that they've been involved in with our colleagues at Systematic Print and indeed Lincolnshire City Football Club. We'll then have our vote, where you can log on and vote for your preferred presentation, and during that time you'll be introduced to our head of the business school, Dr. Craig Marsh, who will give you his views on leading business innovation in a crisis, looking back, I'm sure, on the experiences thus far offered us by COVID and those for the future. And then we'll get on to the celebratory part of the evening, where we'll do the awards presentation, and that'll be hosted by myself and Dr. Craig. And we look to finish around 6:45 this evening. So Many thanks for joining us this evening, and without further ado, Herbert, over to you for a look at what the challenge actually is.
Good evening, and thank you, Gary. My name is Herbert Mapfaira. I teach in the area of operations management and project management. The UoL 4.0 Challenge 2021, it's a strategy that we use to allow our students to work collaboratively with the local industry. So we believe that our students have got some experience that they can use and apply them while working with industry. So this brings our students, it brings the university and the local industry together to work in solving local problems. I will say a bit more about the actual challenge strategy. But what I would like to say is that this has been going on for more than 2 years now, before I joined the University of Lincoln. So my colleague has been doing this, and at the moment, I'm the one running the challenge. So the challenge is available to students within LIBS from different departments. I'll go over the departments very soon. Just to give a background about the challenge, it is an initiative that is based on the challenge-based learning. So what we do is that we believe that students learn better when they are working on solving real life problems that exist in our local community. In this case, we are working with the Lincolnshire businesses. So what happens is that the companies, they give us the challenges or the problems that they have, but may not have time to look at them, or may not have the resources to look at those challenges. So our students spent a semester doing research on those problems and then coming up with a solution. Our focus is on digital technology. So these problems has to be ones that can be solved using digital technology. And this mirrors the time that we are at the moment because of the disruption from the COVID-19 pandemic. Companies are having to rely on online platforms to do business. So as you are going to see later, the solutions that our students have, they are around allowing businesses to be able to use the online platforms to connect with their customers. So the goal is twofold. For our students, we want them to increase their employability by means of developing technology-based entrepreneurial and problem-solving skills. And they do this through working on technology-based problems within the companies that they are working with. And for our business, we want to allow them to work with our students to work on complex ideas, commercial ideas that allows them to connect with their markets. As you're going to see again from the presentations, some students are talking about how the organizations can improve an aspect of their business by being able to increase their market share. So in terms of the concept of the challenge, there is a big idea. So this is about an area of interest that we want to work on. Okay, so in our case, our big idea is about supporting industry in developing digital technology capability. So that's the focus of our challenge. That's our big idea. So the next thing is the essential question. So this is about articulating the big idea. So it informs students about what is important to know about the big idea. So in our case, this is about how digital technology can be used to support local industry to develop capability for online delivery of goods and service. So our theme this year is about online delivery of goods and services. So it talks about using online platforms to connect with our with the market, with the customers. In terms of the challenge, so these are the tasks that students are working on. Okay, these are the problems that our students are working on. Okay, so what we've done is to translate the essential question into a specific task for our students. So I won't say much about that. You are going to hear from our students because the different groups, they are going to tell you about their task and what they've done to try and provide ideas on how to meet that task. And we have some guiding questions. So these are really pointers to what needs to be investigated. We're trying to give our students directions so that they investigate the right idea to increase the chance of succeeding in dealing with the challenge. The guiding activities, we are trying to we'll give them some guide so that they are systematic in the way they solve the problems. And we also provide them with the guiding resources. So the solution that is developed by the students may be implemented by the companies. So if a company wants to implement the solution, we work with the Lincolnshire County Council, which is available to offer support to the companies that would like to implement the ideas proposed by the students. And we've got evaluation. So what we're doing right now is part of evaluation of what the students have done. We also publish the work of the students because we want to share with the wider audience so that others may be able to take on from what we've done. Okay, so here are the companies that we are working with. So for this semester, we are working with two companies. So it varies from semester to semester. Last semester, we were working with the 7 companies. For this year, we're working with the Systematic Print Management, Lincoln City Football Club. So in terms of Systematic, this is a diverse Lincolnshire-based company offering print management, graphic design, and marketing services to businesses across the UK. In terms of their challenge, they're looking at inbound marketing to develop their brand and grow their sales. So basically, they want to develop their brand and grow their sales. And they want to use inbound marketing to do that. Okay, but they're also looking at brand differentiation and positioning. So our students will say more about this. This company does quite a lot of activities, and that just trying to see where they can focus and how they can connect better with their market. Then we've got Lincoln City Football Club, which is a local football club based in Lincoln, competing in League One, third tier of the English Football League system. So they're looking for a way to maintain their fan engagement through digital platforms. We know because of the COVID-19 pandemic, audience are not able to attend, people are not able to attend matches in person. So without people coming to the stadium. So how can they maintain contact with their fans? So that's what our students are working on. Okay, so these are the programs involved: business studies, business and marketing, international business management, business and finance, business and enterprise development, and also Erasmus exchange program. So what that means is that students work in teams, and in each team, there are students from different programs, which makes the team multidisciplinary, so they can look at the problems from different perspectives. So the next thing, we're going to the presentations, which is why we're all here, okay? And the first presentation is going to be from Team B3 by Joshua. Now, we had 27 teams, and out of the 27 teams, 4 were called to present at this award ceremony today. So over to you, Joshua.
Hi there, sorry. I'm going to be presenting my team's challenge and solution for systematic print management. Can you go to the next page? So what is systematic print? Systematic Print Services is a print servicing company that supports organizations throughout the UK. So they provide services and product, services such as creative services, corporate identity, and brand marketing, while also supplying products such as mailing campaigns, print management, and also corporate branded product. Next page. So first, once given the company, we conducted a SWOT analysis. Now, just to briefly go over it, for strengths, we found that the company had a wide portfolio. So they had a lot of products and services and a lot of revenue streams that they were able to make money off of. They also had a lot of accreditations. So they were very well known. They like, you knew that you were going to be buying a good product, a good service from them. Weaknesses was that they had a small target audience and also needed promotional assistance. Opportunities that we found was that they could further penetrate their market and diversify more. And big threats to them mainly came in the form of how the majority of companies nowadays are moving to paperless systems. So they are no longer doing, marketing in person or on paper. They're moving a lot of their marketing online through social media and targeted ads. That's the next slide. Now, the challenge that we faced was to develop the brand and grow sales, and also to bring around more brand differentiation and positioning. So some bullet points that we really focused on here when coming up with our solution was to promote more their creative services, to promote the eco product line, because the majority of customers nowadays like the businesses that they're conducting with to be eco-friendly, to be looking out for the environment. So this would be a big up for the company. And also promotion during COVID, as the majority of customers are at home. And so it's a lot harder to reach them with pamphlets and ads and everything else. So next page. So the process that we did for finding our solution was first to evaluate the company, look at its structure, look at how it conducted itself, look at what place it held within the market, and then to brainstorm to figure out what we can add to within the company, what's working, what isn't, how we can fix certain problems. And then it was to evaluate our solutions and find out which one would work best, and then to furthermore reflect on the challenge itself. So of solutions that we thought of was a multi-platform social media campaign targeted to all age groups and using each platform to target its specific users. to also try and move the business completely onto an eco-friendly platform, because currently only some of the services and products are like marketed as eco-friendly. And then the solution that we chose as our main one. So next slide, please. So our solution that we chose was to bring around a more streamlined website and to also bring around an all-encompassing web store. Now, what I mean as a streamlined website is that since March of last year, systematic print store has pretty much been closed with the pandemic. So the majority of their sales and business transactions have been going through their website. So right now, this is the face of the company. This is what the majority of new customers are going to be seeing. They're not going to have experienced the in-person store. So what we want to do is that we want to bring around a redesign of the website to focus more on the brand image, to make it more like easily apparent what they are providing and who they are, but at the same time make it accessible for all age groups, because a lot of times older customers would have probably gone into the store. So now it needs to be made easier for them to order online, and to also make it as easy as possible to get to the online store portion of the website. So if you want to go to the next slide, I brought up some statistics from Forbes here that shows that 38% of users, when interacting with a new website, find the layout. If they find the layout unattractive, they'll just leave. Along with 39% of users will stop engaging if images don't load. So what this is saying is that it needs to be aesthetic. It needs to look nice, be easy on the eyes, and work efficiently. And you will bring in customers and you'll retain them. Alongside another 39% of users stop engaging if, again, it takes too, like if the whole thing takes too long to load, they'll just leave and they'll find another company to work with. So it needs to be fast, streamlined, aesthetic, and looking nice. But on the next slide, as you'll see, we also talked about adding an online store. So currently there is a web store, but what we wanted to do was make it all encompassing. So not only currently the web store is only for a small range of products, but what we wanted to add to it was all of systematic print services, so that you can go on the store and go and get print management, creative services, corporate identity, digital services, everything that they are currently offering. Because right now, for the majority of those, you need to submit a form with your email and what you want, and then have a back and forth over email before you can finally purchase your product. And we wanted to make that process a lot more streamlined, where you didn't have to, in every single situation, deal with another person, where you could just go online, buy what you want, and get back off and continue dealing with your everyday business transactions. So what we also wanted to do was to make a tool on the website to be able to add your logo, your motto, anything else, to a whole range of products like pens, hats, hoodies, bumper stickers, you name it, just to be able to further help companies promote themselves within and give it to staff, or to promote themselves outside and give it to customers, or hand it out on the streets. And what we also liked about this was that we could add a tool to help, for like mailing campaigns or making pamphlets. Right now, print management makes those for the company. We thought that if you added a tool in to allow the company to do that themselves, you can then add a premium charge for print management to customize it. So you could add the ability for companies to make their own pamphlets and then send it in to get printed, or you'd have the extra money to be made from print management doing it themselves. So if you want to go to the next page, we talk about kind of the additionally adding the ability to work with it on an iPhone or Android, because 54% of all online sales are coming from mobile. So it's a market that we wouldn't want to miss out on. Now on the next page, we talk about the constraints. So this could end up with user acceptance. Older customers who've been with the brand for a while might not like a change like this. Additionally, the time taken to implement the online store and a redesign, along with the money spent on paying someone to do that if it's not done in-house. But we talk about the benefits on the next slide. And these are that you have a 24/7 online presence. So let's say not all companies are 9 to 5, So what this allows is that a company that works throughout the nighttime isn't going to have to wait for systematic print to message them back the next day to start figuring out what they want to buy. Is that the manager could order at 12 a.m. and know that his order is going to be processed right in the morning, and he won't have to have any more back and forth about it. Additionally, redesigning the website could meet for more customer demands and help increase satisfaction, while also to help build Systematic's overall brand image and strengthen their reputation further within the local community, but also online, so able to reach the national community. And yeah, that's my presentation. So thank you for listening.
Hi, so I'm Ellie, and I'm obviously presenting on Systematic as well. If you could go to the next slide, please. So this is my team, and I'm the one who has been selected. Next slide, please. So a little bit about Systematic. So they are a Lincolnshire-based business which have been operating for over 45 years. I'm pretty sure it's 46 now. And they operate in multiple markets, which include print management services, creative design services, digital design services, corporate identity, brand marketing, and marketing campaigns. Next slide, please. So obviously we want to know what the challenge is. Josh has stated it already, but I'll go again. And it's inbound marketing to develop the brand and grow the sales, as well as brand differentiation and positioning. Next slide, please. So we wanted to start off with a situation analysis so we could figure out where Systematic are in the market and what they do and how they operate and things like that. So we started off with strengths, and we found that they have a wide range of services, obviously, like we've already stated, and they have a good reputation. They've won numerous awards, and I'm pretty sure they've got a very good, strong client base because of this. On weaknesses, we've got that half of their graphic design team have currently been furloughed or laid off due to the COVID pandemic. So they're currently on half capacity on graphic design. And they also stated in a presentation to us that they're having a bit of an identity crisis because of how many services they currently operate in. For opportunities, we found that obviously the corporate gifts, because of COVID, they could venture off into face masks with their branding on the face masks for customers to sell to them, and also to give to their employees. And for threats, we found outsourcing and printing. So basically, for all of their printing services, they outsource the paper for forests in Europe. And because of Brexit, there's either going to be a slowdown or there's going to be increased costs, and we're not exactly sure what that's going to lead to yet. Next slide, please. So to brainstorm some solutions, my group and I used the Toes Matrix and the Lotus Blossom method, and we came up with about 4 or 5 solutions that we thought could be best for Systematic. So first of all, we had a portal so that their team can work from home, which could mean that they could bring back the graphic designers. We also had that they could expand their eco range further, because obviously that's such a growing trend. We also had that they should promote their awards more on social media, and to boost posts on social media rather than just going for organic growth, because there is a lot of opportunity on their social media pages. And finally, we had to focus more on graphic design due to so many businesses moving online. Next slide, please. So to evaluate and select a solution, we first had the 2 best ideas that we thought, which was to promote further on social media and to focus on graphic design on its own, pretty much. And for that, we used the castle method and an advantage-disadvantage table. So the castle method made us discuss in our group the acceptability, the practicality, and the originality of both ideas and sort of weigh them out in terms of those factors. And then the advantage and disadvantage table, basically we had to score each one on advantages and disadvantage. And based on both of these, we decided to focus on graphic design. Next slide, please. So what is the focus on graphic design and how will it work? So this will fit into their service of creative service, which includes not only graphic design, but illustrated, animated, online, and print marketing. So this will be the core focus out of all of the service that they provide, but they'll still keep doing the other services. And this will definitely develop the brand and give them a stronger position in the creative services market, because currently their prime focus is print management. Leading back to guiding questions, this will be the core focus of the business, and that is something that Systematic actually wanted when they gave us some ideas. And if they could further promote this through the use of social media, we would also recommend doing that through ads because their social media presence is so good at the moment. Next slide, please. So next we wanted to talk about the constraints. So obviously there's two main ones, which is obviously the cost and staff. So starting with staff, if they're already on half of staff, they're either going to have to re-employ half of them or take them off of furlough, which is going to cost them money, whichever way they decide to do it. And other costs will be promoting it either on social media or just on pay-per-click, stuff like that. Next slide, please. So some benefits is that they will be differentiating their whole brand as Systematic into creative services, which is what they wanted. They will be known for graphic design rather than printing. They'll get away from the identity crisis that they're facing because they will have one core focus, and they will attract new clients, but they may also be interested in the other services. So it's not just growth in that one service, it could be growth in the other services. And we decided that this would be a great long-term solution because as more businesses are closing because of COVID, people are moving online, so they're taking their businesses online, whether that's through e-commerce or social media. So Systematic can take advantage of that, as those companies are going to be wanting some content for either their websites or their social media pages. And not only because of COVID, there's also the fact that the high street is closing down pretty much, especially with Topshop closing down lately. A lot more companies in the long run are going to be moving towards social media and e-commerce. So there's definitely going to be a demand and room for growth in the future. Next slide, please. So in terms of the performance objectives, these are what we focus on in operations management, and there's 5 performance objectives. There's quality, speed, dependability, flexibility, and cost. And basically the 2 ones that we think will be used the most by Systematic is quality and dependability. Quality because there'll be more focus on graphic design, so with more effort there will be higher quality, and that could mean less mistakes are made, which therefore leads to dependability, which will mean that clients see Systematic as more reliable because there's less mistakes made and they've got a better relationship. Next slide, please. So in conclusion, we think that this would be the best idea for Systematic in terms of long-term growth, not only in creative services, but also as a brand as a whole, because consumers and clients will want to venture off into the smaller services that they also provide. But yeah, my group and I really enjoyed working on this because it was like a real life situation. But yeah, thank you for listening.
Hello and welcome to my presentation, which will analyse the impact of creating a TikTok account for Lincoln City Football Club. Just in case people didn't know, TikTok is a video sharing social network which is often used to create a variety of short videos. Next slide, please. Thank you. Lincoln City Football Club are currently in League One. The club's aim is to enhance fan engagement through digital platforms. Lincoln has set the strategic aim because the club is struggling to maintain fan engagement through this pandemic. And they also do not have enough wide range of demographics, such as female followers, which is also what other clubs struggle with. And they are also struggling to get fans to use their social media and digital platforms. The aim of the challenge is for students to create new and innovative ways of using digital platforms so the club can enhance their fan engagement. Next slide, please. To help brainstorm potential solutions and meet the strategic aims, my group decided to conduct a SWOT analysis. We use SWOT analysis because it allows us to gain a thorough understanding of where Lincoln sits within its market and the internal and external factors that affect the business. At this point, there were no ideas that were decided on. So for SWOT, for strengths, we learned that Lincoln have just been promoted to League One. This means that they will have access to a larger audience through things such as more matches being shown on TV, playing against bigger clubs, signing higher profile players, which could increase fan numbers and revenue streams. In addition to this, Lincoln already use several different digital platforms, including iFollow and Ticketmaster, which both allow easier viewing of games. Next, for the weaknesses. Firstly, fans cannot currently attend matches in person or any sort of in-person fan events because of COVID-19. This means there is a loss of matchday revenue that can be crucial for clubs in the lower tiers to generate income, especially when they already have a much less financial muscle compared to the Premier League. Perhaps more importantly to the strategic aim, in-person fan engagement is vastly reduced and fans may become estranged to a certain extent from the club. After that, we studied the opportunities Lincoln had. By far the biggest opportunity is the fact that the fan base is growing and has been growing for many years now. One key indicator of this is that the average attendance, which increased from 5,162 in the 2016 to 27 season to 8,986 a few years later. Could this be maintained or accelerated? Another opportunity is the grant that was awarded from the Premier League in November that could be used to fund community activities. We finalised our SWOT analysis with understanding the threats the club face. The biggest threat Lincoln are enduring is that with the pandemic, players and staff may fall ill with the virus and be unable to do their jobs until they have recovered. The effects from this can be compounded by the fact that people could also have to self-isolate off the back of a positive COVID test from one of their colleagues. Another threat caused by the pandemic is that many people have been affected by the restrictions of shops closing, businesses failing, and ultimately people losing jobs. This has caused fans to be unable to spend money on non-essential items, which could cause a drop in merchandise sales, ticket sales, and potentially lose their engagement. Next slide, please. After evaluating a lot of ideas and completing thorough research using the Lotus Blossom technique and Toes Matrix, my group thought of these potential solutions. Creating an app, creating a TikTok account, using sponsorships, digital platforms to advertise the club, and teaching the older generation how to access digital platforms through workshops, either online or in person. All these solutions have potential to enhance fan engagement through digital platforms. However, we decided, next slide please, we decided that the best solution for Lincoln City Football Club would be to create a TikTok account. This would enhance the club's ability to provide content on an international level and could bring in fans and enhance fan engagement across the world for free while providing exclusive content and an exclusive look into the club. Products could be advertised and money could be earned from the club if they are popular on the app, and they could even earn more sponsorships through the app. Although TikTok has only just recently become successful, so this success could be temporary. So Lincoln City Football Club would have to monitor the success of the app to ensure it would be a good investment. Next slide, please. Here is a graph. The graph is basically the age demographics for TikTok. And if you can see, it shows that the younger age groups use the app more frequently. Getting younger people involved could create lifelong fans, and it could also, as showing, it says that females are more likely to use the app, which could help the issues that the Lincoln City Football Club were facing with not having enough fan engagement. So this could actually boost their engagement if they provide the correct content. However, on the other hand, the graph does show that there is a distinctive drop in users over the age of 25. To increase their involvement, the club could advertise the app more heavily and also run social media workshops, particularly for the older generation, so that they could become more proficient with the digital platforms. Next slide, please. We use the PMI technique to evaluate whether TikTok will be effective for the strategic aims. You can see some of the key points I mentioned earlier, such as young fan engagement and the fact that it is a free advertising platform. TikTok got a good score of 8 using this model. Next slide, please. Another positive is that many of the football clubs around the country already use TikTok as a platform, including Leicester, Watford, and Bournemouth. There is a video here. This is from Sheffield United, and if Tarzan could play it for me, that'd be great.
Stupid, I'm not going to let you get the chance.
This post got over 9 million views. It demonstrates how effective TikTok can be, and this is impressive even for a club in the Premier League. However, it is to be noted that Sheffield United are several divisions above Lincoln and boast a much higher fan following, which can boost the chances of a viral video. but this doesn't necessarily mean that Lincoln cannot replicate this. Next slide, please. So to conclude, TikTok benefits fans as they can access exclusive content, voice their opinions, and impact the content created. It benefits Lincoln City Football Club because they can upload content whenever they desire. They can gain market and customer research through the app, which could be used for further marketing campaigns, introducing new fans, and potentially go viral. Next slide, please. Thank you for your kind attention, and now I'll hand you over to Anya.
So hi, good evening everyone. Thank you all for being here today. I'm Anya, and our UoL 4.0 challenge was based on Lincoln City Football Club. Next slide, please. So who are Lincoln City Football Club? Founded in 1884, Lincoln City is a professional League One football club based in Lincoln. They are nicknamed the Imps, which they have adopted into their club logo after the legend of the Lincoln Imp. And their primary rivals include other Lincolnshire clubs like Scunthorpe United and Grimsby Town. Next slide, please. So our team was presented with the challenge of how Lincoln City Football Club could maintain fan engagement through these digital platforms. Next slide, please. So we started by conducting a situation analysis, looking at all the different factors that have a bearing on the organisation. So firstly, looking at the political, economic, social, technological, legal and environmental factors, otherwise known as a PESTLE analysis, we discovered that mainly Lincoln City are being affected by COVID-19. With lockdowns and continued restrictions on large gatherings and sporting events, the clubs have seen a negative impact on fan engagement. With the game of football itself being the main way that the club is actually able to engage with fans across all demographics, the restrictions have caused a serious strain. We believe that COVID-19, like Herbert said at the start, could have been one of the main influences for this challenge. Additionally, the industry is moving towards digitalization, operating on various digital platforms such as online streaming services or social media, for example. So there is potential for the organisation to engage with its existing supporters and potentially gain new ones through these platforms. Next slide, please. So we also conducted a SWOT analysis looking at the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats for Lincoln City Football Club. The main takeaway from this, which links nicely to our PESTLE analysis, is the fact that there are opportunities for Lincoln City to create a Snapchat or TikTok account. By creating captivating content or following current trends on the platforms, they can ensure fan engagement and support whilst also reaching a larger public audience. Next slide, please. So after our analysis, we used brainstorming techniques, including classical brainstorming and a tiles matrix, to create viable solutions for Lincoln City. There are a few ideas that we had, including redesigning their website to make it more user-friendly and making a Snapchat account. However, after analysing the advantages and disadvantages of these ideas, we decided that redesigning the website would cost over £10,000, would take too much time and would have little effect on fan engagement. Also, Snapchat is considered to be a declining social media platform, especially for businesses and public figures. So again, this is unlikely to have helped the situation of fan engagement. Next slide, please. Therefore, we decided that ultimately the best solution was for LCFC to use TikTok to maintain its fan engagement by creating captivating content like tips and tricks videos, mini interviews, behind the scenes footage, or competitions or giveaways. The company can ensure that their fans are engaged and supportive and remain loyal to the club. Next slide, please. So in terms of the 5 performance objectives, which we look at heavily in operations management, our solution would predominantly improve the organization's ability to work flexibly, improve the quality of the online services that they provide, whilst providing little to no cost. Next slide, please. So we analysed both the benefits and the constraints of our solution. The benefits included that TikTok is a fairly new and very popular social media platform. It has over 3.7 million users in the UK alone, and there is potential to reach numerous fans in the UK whilst also attracting fans on a global scale. Additionally, the app has users varying in age, meaning that the company could connect with not only its younger users, but its slightly older demographic too. Lastly, the solution is relatively low cost as the app is free to use and creating content can be done with using just a smartphone. Next slide, please. So we also identified some constraints, and the main constraints we identified would be that it's difficult to create worthy content that actually captures the attention of fans and ensures their engagement. For example, the opinion of fans differs. So some fans may find a video funny or trendy, whilst others may see it as tacky or outdated. Also, adding another social media platform to its list may not improve fan engagement at all. If Lincoln City use the same or similar content across the board, it's likely that fans will get bored of seeing the same kind of content, impacting their engagement with the club. Lastly, eventually the popularity and the trendiness of TikTok will decrease, but when that is unknown. Therefore, the solution may only be short to medium term. Next slide, please. So to conclude, it's likely that creating a TikTok account will in fact help Lincoln City maintain and potentially improve its fan engagement. With it likely being a medium-term strategy, it can ensure support and engagement, especially while COVID-19 restrictions are still in place. Next slide, please. So thank you very much for listening, and I'll hand back now.
Seven posters that were evaluated by the public. And at the point where these 4 teams were selected, there wasn't a lot of time going to the awards ceremony. So they had to work overnight developing their slides. So I want to thank them very much. I want to thank them for the excellent presentation that they had. And I also want to thank them for demonstrating the skills that they managed to acquire while doing the challenge. The meeting with the companies, I would like to thank Systematic Print, James and Jackie, for working with us, for providing the challenge from Systematic Print, and also Jack and Terry from Lincoln City Football Club for providing the second challenge. Thank you very much for giving us this experience, for allowing our students to experience the world of work by working on the challenge. So we do these challenges every semester. So currently we are recruiting businesses for the next challenge starting from February. So for local businesses, if you are interested, please get in touch and we'll talk to you and work together with our next group of students. So now is the time for voting. The students have done their presentation. the purpose for this evening also is to be able to select the winning team. So out of the 4, we want to be able to identify the winning team and also the runner-up, first runner-up, and second runner-up, and so forth. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to vote for your preferred presentation. There are 2 ways of voting. You could use the link that is on the screen. You can type it on your URL, or you could scan the QR code on the screen. That will take you to the link where you can vote. Okay. So at the end, like Gary said, we're going to present the winning teams in their order. So after the voting, or while we're doing the voting, we are going to have a presentation from Craig, who is the director of the business school. I just want to check with the Tazem if Craig is ready.
Hey Herbert, I'm here and ready to go when you are.
Okay, thank you. I can't see you from where I am.
No, it's no problem, Herbert. And it's great to be here. And what a fantastic set of presentations we've had so far. And let me add my thanks as well to our students for really setting the bar really high. And I can't possibly follow such a fantastic group of presentations. And also my appreciation to our 2 organisations, Lincoln City and Systematic Print Management, for allowing us to work with you on these presentations. So Herbert, with your permission, what I'll do, I thought, I don't know as much as the students do actually about transferring services online, but what we do think through as a business school, of course, and some of the work that we've been doing, about some of the implications for the pandemic for Lincoln businesses and some of the changes that they've been making. So. And I've been doing a little bit of work on that, as you know, over the last 12 months or so with my colleague Ruchi Agarwal, and some of the work I've been doing as well with the Royal Air Force, the Tedder Academy. So I thought what I'd do is just present a few slides, if that's okay, which just highlights some of the things that we've been finding from that, which is relevant actually to some of the leading change that has been going on around Lincolnshire over the last few months. So what I'll do is, if that's okay, I'm going to share my screen here, and hopefully the technology will work and everybody can see this. There we go. To stream. There we are. So there are 2 bits of So there are 2 bits of work that we've been doing over the last few months, which I think highlight some of the organisational challenges about moving online that many organisations around Lincolnshire and indeed around the country have faced, including, by the way, the university, because of course the university was put in this position, as colleagues will be aware, back in March when we had to move all of our stuff online very rapidly. And what we've been doing since then, as the pandemic has extended, is thinking through how we structure ourselves such that we can make a systemic change and a systemic shift to online, and how we lead that. And that's one of the areas that I think we've been exploring and learning ourselves. So there are 2 bits of work that we've done, a bit of research that we've done that I'm sure many of my colleagues and students will be aware of. One is the Resilient Lincolnshire project, where we've been working, I think, over 30 plus seminars over the course of a year under the theme of Resilient Lincolnshire, which we then extended globally, really finding out about how businesses are responding to the pandemic and how they've been changing in order to maintain their resilience. And that's one bit of work that I'll draw on, and I'll come back to that in a few minutes. And the other bit of work is something that we call the Tedder Talks, which is a piece of work that I do with the Royal Air Force each year to interview a number of leaders around a particular theme of leadership. And not surprisingly, in 2020, that theme was around leading organisational change. So I'm going to share a little bit of the insights that we came from that piece of work as well. So those are the 2 parts of work that we did. So first up, what sort of principles did we find that Lincolnshire leaders are using to lead change in the crisis that we've been faced with. And there was a remarkable degree of consistency around the kind of themes that we heard them talking about in this area of leading their organisations through some of the massive challenges that they've had this year. And here are some of them, so you can read them through. A lot of consistency around desire to lead organisations that are based on the principles of high trust, openness, and engagement with all members. So hierarchies becoming less important these days, and the free flow of information across those hierarchies really becoming important. Empowerment of junior levels to contribute to the life of the organisation. It's felt that innovation, empowerment, change needs to be brought from the bottom. And I think there's some very good reasons for that, which I'll come to in a second. An aspiration to create a culture of diversity and inclusivity, not just on protected characteristics, but also something that we refer to as neurodiversity. So diversity of thinking, diversity of approaches, so different psychological and creative approaches to the challenges that we're faced with. And something that I think has been very evident over the course of the crisis is that developing a culture of kindness, of care, and of empathy between members. And these have been very strong themes that we've seen from the businesses that we've been talking to over the last few months. How do leaders themselves aspire to lead? Be systemic. Think collaboration and not competition. There's a strong trends, I think, coming across businesses these days to work out how they can work with others, both internally and, of course, externally, to collaborate. A lot of challenge to communication. Consistently let people know why we're doing things, and also what is in it for the individual, what's in it for me in terms of the change. So and some of these things that I've been mentioning: involvement, empowering others, creating effective feedback loops, creating space for constructive challenge, working with early adopters. Often when you're going through an organizational change, particularly the ones that our students have been sharing and recommending on, that you find that certain people accept that change before others, and you work with those individuals, work with them as ambassadors, allow them to lead that change. And of course, there will be always people who resist it. So you work with them, understand the source of the resistance, and work with them to understand how you need to modify your change process to be able to come up with it. A no broken windows policy with behavior. A lot of people talking about how you don't accept poor behavior in any of its forms, because particularly in the environment we're in, and particularly the sensitivities around working remotely, it is magnified, it is exacerbated in these kinds of environments. Learn continuously. This is we've all been confronted with unprecedented challenges over the last few months, and we've all had to recognise those, admit the fact that we failed occasion, show that vulnerability, show that you don't know as a leader, and that has been the sort of thing that has brought people with us. Now, those are some of the things. A large degree of consistency, I think, over those themes. Now, why is that? Why? So part of the question is, why consistency? Well, I think that's because organisations have clearly been facing some common challenges. Now, one of them is indeed, of course, the pandemic that we've all been faced with, but also there is a common technology challenge. And I'm going to just talk a bit about very briefly about the common challenge of spotting trends early enough to be able to respond to them. The pandemic, and then of course post-millennials, and we have many of them in the audience today, and a lot of the leaders, particularly older leaders, talking about the way that leadership needs to change to incorporate the values, the aspirations, and the perspectives of the latest generation entering the workforce. And I'll say a little bit about those as well. So let's have a look at each of those. In terms of technology trends, it's the speed of transformation. Now, we all know this. We all know Moore's law. We all know just how quickly things are evolving from a technology point of view. But one of the interesting parts about that is almost the tipping point idea. So often technology trends are upon us before we even recognize them. And the organizations that are really successful in this space, whatever that technology change is, are very quick at identifying those changes and then reacting to them before anybody else reacts to them. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples of that. And if you think about the leadership challenges that I was just describing, who is it that is going to spot those changes? Well, it's probably not necessarily going to be you as the head of the organization, but some of your young, post-millennials who are in touch with some of these changes through their own networks, who have just been to university, who are seeing the latest things going on, it is quite likely to be them. So you do need to be engaging with them, involving them in your conversations and organizations, and finding out from them what is happening out there such that you react to it. And a great quote from one of my favorite authors, the late Douglas Adams, who of course wrote The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And I am way over item 3. Anything invented after 35 is against the natural order of things. So I know how that feels, colleagues. So anyway, so that's, I think, one of the trends. Now, I love this graph. This is about a very old piece of technology, actually, the mobile phone. In other words, it's been around for quite a while. And I quoted somebody, actually came from one of our politicians, who said, people have had enough of experts. And I'm thinking about that. Well, why is that? Because in terms of trend spotting, experts are really lousy at telling you what's going on. And the reason why they don't do that is because of this thing called exponential growth. And what you're seeing on the graph, and there's a little bit of a small graph here, but what hopefully you can pick out. This is about the growth of mobile phones, going back to the late 1990s through to about the late 2010s. And the red line, the bottom line, is a linear trend in growth. Okay, so this is that red line. The yellow line is what actually happened in terms of the growth of mobile phone technology. Now, what's interesting about this is the orange lines are the predictions of experts in the growth of mobile phone technology at various points on that chart. And as what you can see is what they predicted, despite the evidence of this trend starting to take up, is linear growth. So in 2002, 16%, 2004, 14%, 2006, 12%, 2008, it can't get any faster, predicting 10% growth. No, it wasn't. It was in the hundreds of percent of growth. It was an exponential growth. So experts singularly failed to predict the growth of mobile phone technology over that period. So what you've got is a situation where you rely on experts to predict, then you're probably going to fail as a business because you're not spotting those trends quick enough. What does that look like in a slightly more modern example? Okay, well, here we go. We know this is on its way. LiDAR is a bit of radar that directs autonomous cars. Because one of the effects of that, remember, growth to abundance, is the cost starts to reduce exponentially as that growth starts to occur. And here's an example of LiDAR. Cost in 2012, $70,000. 2017, 500. Last year, you could get LiDAR technology for $100. Have a look at this in other types of technology, battery cost, solar panels, things that are now starting to hit abundance is one of the ways of starting to spot these trends relatively early. So lesson number 1 for leaders, how do you get in an organization way to be able to spot these trends quick enough for you as an organization to be able to recognize them? Now, and one of the things that you need to think about that in terms of doing that is how you balance that keeping your execution going, because you've got to keep running your own business, and how you build into your organization something that allows that trend spotting, that out there, that skunk works, that innovation factory to be running for you. And this is an interesting approach that I'm going to recommend to you if you haven't come across it, the concept of adaptive space, which comes from General Motors, actually, who are faced with this car challenge. They've got to keep building cars, but electric cars are on the way, driverless cars are on the way. So how do they keep their factory going whilst incorporating this new technology, which is likely eventually to transform their company? And it's about the creation of an adaptive space between that allows the two to meet. So that's one, I think, interesting possibility for organizations to think about how they deal with this challenge. The second challenge, how do you find systemic solutions? Edison didn't just invent a light bulb, he invented an entire system. So thinking systematically about this and thinking about the change that it brings to your business model is how you start to think as a leader about the sort of effects that something like the crisis of the pandemic, how you turn that into an opportunity. How does it reinvent your business model is the kind of reflection that you should be having. So that begs the question, what is a business model? Well, basically it's a way of creating and capturing value. It has several elements to it. How you organize, how you take an input and transform it into an output that satisfies customers, defining what your value proposition is. So thinking about, as a business, which bits of this value proposition you capture is part of that leadership challenge. So our students have been presenting really nicely some aspects of how the organizations may be recommended to shift a little bit the thinking on that, on their business model. So again, a couple of examples of that. in terms of which part of the value chain you want to capture. Just some well-known ones. Airbnb have one part of it. It's a platform business. They have one part of that value chain. That's what they do, and they've made a massive success out of it. Uber, they are a platform, but they also move into the delivery of a service, driving people around. Amazon have a slightly bigger part of that business, of that value chain. They have the platform, they have the mechanisms for delivery, but they also have now all of the warehousing, the data warehousing that they make so much money on, and of course the structure that in the back office that allows them to deliver those products to the customer. And finally, an example which I love from India, Jio, that arrived on the scene about 4 or 5 years ago in India. And they came with malice and forethought to completely capture the telecoms market in India. So what they do is they have the shops that sell mobile phones and all of the attendant problems. They build the apps, they build the phones themselves. They have the mobile phone towers that deliver it. So they decided, in terms of which part of the value chain to capture, they decided to capture the whole of that value chain. So the message here for leaders is thinking about the value chain that you have in your organization and thinking about which bits of it, when you're shifting your view to moving online, say, which part of it are you going to capture and which one are you going to take? So thinking systematically. And the final bit, the third challenge, is our students, what is called the post-millennials, the I generation. And some of the work that I was doing in 2019 was actually thinking through what the characteristics of this group of students, and they can of course tell them better than ourselves. But for organizations, this is presenting a particularly significant leadership challenge and opportunity about how to lead in a generation where we have these 21, 22, 23-year-olds coming into the organization. And there you can see some of the themes that I've already mentioned that organizations are really now starting to embrace, because this is their expectation of organizations. And so what it presents for leaders, I think, is a challenge not to think about themselves, because leadership has become too much about the individual and not enough about the people that you actually are leading and bringing with you. So I thought I'd just share some thoughts briefly in terms of that fit with the leadership, this challenge of the post-millennials, is about thinking about followership, which requires courage. And what is effective followership like? Supporting the leader's success, accepting responsibility for the common purpose, which is very important for the post-millennial generation, and act regardless of whether or not you're receiving direct orders. To challenge constructively the leader if they threaten that common purpose, to participate in that transformation or innovation that we've just been thinking about, and then clearly to take a moral stand when you believe that it's warranted and you believe something needs to be done that is right, that you challenge and you direct to the leader as that challenge. So it's much more, I think, now, not about the task of the leader, but about the task of followers to make sure that their leadership is held to account to those principles. So there's three challenges, three sort of thoughts on how organizations seem to be dealing with them. And then finally, we identified through the Resilient Lincolnshire project 4 critical areas or capabilities that are allowing organizations to make these shifts. And we identified these 4. So the resilience of leadership, huge amount of resilience around our Lincolnshire organizations. So, both personally getting through this, but also professionally, and making sure that your businesses are resilient to the changes and the crises that they're faced with. Emotional leadership, and I've just been talking a bit about that, to be emotionally stable, to be emotionally intelligent, staying healthy, keeping your mental state correct in the right kind of way. Responsible leadership, being responsible, sustainable, contribution to the environment, thinking about all of the contributions that your business makes to the world, and not just about the profit that you develop. And then technology leadership, and we've been talking a little bit about that. So some discomfort, if you're over 35, it's all a big challenge for you. So we're understanding that discomfort and engaging particularly with your new and young workforce in finding those solutions such that you can move quickly and adopt fast to some of the changes that we know are coming down. So resilience leadership is emotional leadership, responsible leadership, and technology leadership. And that's where I'm going to end it. Hopefully that was about 20 minutes, Herbert. You asked me to do 20 minutes. So that's hopefully just a little bit of food for thought, colleagues, to add to some of the wonderful presentations our students have been doing, and thinking about what our businesses in Lincolnshire are thinking about in terms of how they respond to these challenges and opportunities that they're faced with. So with that, I'll shut up and hand back over to. Looks like Gary's going to come in at that point. Gary, are you? Gary?
Yeah, thanks, Craig. Really interesting. Obviously, a subject close to my heart, leadership, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners have been given some food for thought as well. In true European style, if you like, we've got the final vote, and I think, Herbert, we've got some slides to switch to now. That's a lovely one of me, Herbert. Can we go on to the slides? Herbert, are you there? Sorry about this, people. We seem to have had a breakdown in communication.
Let me see if I can reshare them.
Herbert, can we get the slides up, please, for the presentation itself?
Okay, I'm sharing them again because you couldn't see them.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, can you see them now?
No. Oh, here we go. There we go. Just before I do that, I thought I'd share with the listeners some of the comments we've got in as well, because obviously the system allowed us to comment, and there's some really good comments for all the teams before we start putting them into some sort of order. Fantastic work from all of the teams, really clear and well presented with great analysis of each of the challenges presented and some innovative solutions. So well done, everyone. Very good presentations, professional and clear. Some comments about individuals that I won't share. I think their friends have been voting. I liked all of the presentations and not easy to select one. So that's a nice point. A very basic but important one. Interesting. Another person loved it. Very detailed. So I think that summarizes really. We've had well over 100 responses, which is tremendous. So thank you everybody for doing that. And I think let's have a look now. I'm just trying to see the final scores on the doors, and it looks like the just bear with me, people. It looks like the goes to team 4 with Anya. So very well done, team 4.
Team B.
Great. I don't know whether you want to come in on that. Okay. The next award. So the next slide, please, Herbert. The second runner-up goes to, and a drum roll here, I think, would be good, goes to team 1 with Joshua. So we're getting to the exciting part now. So the next slide, please, Herbert. The runner-up, so the team who've come out in second place, is team presentation 3 with Gemma. So that means that Ellie and the team who did the presentation on systematic print management are this year's first prize. So well done, team D1, Ellie and the team. Craig, I don't know whether you want to add congratulations to the teams. There's Ellie, looking very, very proud. Ellie, have you got any words for your admiring public?
Thank you.
I think you overcome with emotion, Craig. This happens at the Oscars, doesn't it? So I'll have to for some final summary, but very well done to everyone. There were some terrific presentations there, and it was very difficult, certainly for me to choose, and I'm sure you thought the same, Craig.
Yeah,
so
totally.
Gary,
Well, wonderful to see. Ellie, many congratulations to you and your team. It was it's such a good piece of work. Did you enjoy the process as well? I'm just interested to see what you got out of it personally.
Yeah, we really liked it, and it was nice to actually work on something that was real life, and like actually looking into a business and seeing what will actually work for them rather it just be in theory. It was really nice to do something a bit different. Yeah,
that's wonderful to hear that, and presumably having learned from them a little bit as well, did you? I guess as well as having you look.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna have to tell my team now that we came first place.
Well, go ahead. Don't forget to thank your parents. They always do that at the Oscars.
Yeah, thanks, Mum and Dad.
Well done, Ellie. And by the way, just to say again to the other team, none of you are losers. You all did such fantastic jobs. Unfortunately, somebody does have to come first. But if it were me, I would have given first prize to all of you. But so well done to all of you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done, everyone. Okay, Craig, and I don't know, we just want to round off before we stop broadcasting live.
Yeah, actually, for me, if I may, again, not only thank you to our students and to the businesses that allowed us to participate in the challenge this year, but also to our audience. I know that many of our colleagues and our supporters of the business school have joined us this evening and have been putting in supportive comments and so forth. So thank you so much for your contribution this evening as well. And I think hopefully everybody has recognised that if you didn't already, that the University of Lincoln, we may be in a difficult time right now, but we are absolutely not isolated. We are still fully part of our community in Lincolnshire. We take that responsibility very seriously, and as our students have demonstrated, we do love making that contribution to your businesses. And that is a win-win because our students get so much out of it as well as you've been hearing this evening. So thank you for your participation and thank you for allowing us to be able to make this contribution to our local community.
Thank you, Craig. So I'll echo Craig's thanks to everybody. Remember, we're always on the lookout for more organisations to give us those projects that, as Ellie and the other students have demonstrated, students really do enjoy cutting their teeth in. So thank you once again. And without further ado, I'll wish you a fond farewell. Stay safe, and hopefully we'll see you soon physically rather than on a 2D screen. All the best, everyone, and thank you. Taz, I'll leave you to knock everything off if you still